Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parabhagacharya Saraswati Samad. His Divine Grace, Srila Asa Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parabhagacharya Saraswati Samad. His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thakur Bhakti Vinoda Ki Jai. Sri Swarup Dhamada Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Hridana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dheena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Paritanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary, Srila Prabhupada. Today's verse is 5:13, correct? Yes? Chapter entitled Karma Yoga Action in Krishna Consciousness. Please repeat. Sarva-karmāṇi manasā sannyasyāste sukham vaśī nava-dvāre pure dehī naiva kurvan kārayan sarva-karmāṇi manasā sannyasyāste sukham vaśī nava-dvāre pure dehī naivam kurvan kārayan sarva-karmāṇi manasā sannyasyāste sukham vaśī nava-dvāre pure dehī naivam kurvan kārayan sarva-karmāṇi manasā sannyasyāste sukham vaśī nava-dvāre pure dehī naivam kurvan kārayan. Okay.
dehī nava-dvāre naiva kurvan kārayan.
Okay, Vaishnavis. Sarva-karmāṇi manasā.
Sannyasyāste
Sarva-karmi manasā sannyasyāste sukham vaśī nava-dvāre dehī naiva kurvan kārayan. Okay, word for word, please repeat. Sarva, all. Karmāṇi, activities. Manasā, by the mind. Sannyasya, giving up. Āste, remains. Sukham, in happiness. Vaśī, one who is controlled. Nava-dvāre, in the place where there are 9 gates. Pure, in the city. Dehī, the embodied soul. Na, never. Eva, certainly. Kurvan, doing anything. Na, not. Kārayan, causing to be done. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates. The material body neither working nor causing work to be done. Please repeat. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the body of 9 gates. The material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. The embodied soul lives in the city of 9 gates. The activities of the body, or the figurative city of body, are conducted automatically by its particular modes of nature. The soul, although subjecting himself to the conditions of the body, can be beyond those conditions if he so desires. Owing only to forgetfulness of his superior nature, he identifies with the material body and therefore suffers. By Krishna consciousness, he can revive his real position and thus come out of his embodiment. Therefore, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, one at once becomes completely aloof from bodily. This is feedback. Turn the volume down a bit. Just 10%. By Krishna consciousness, okay, fine. He can revive his real position and thus come out of his embodiment. Therefore, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, one at once becomes completely aloof from bodily activities. In such a controlled life, in which his deliberations are changed, he lives happily within the city of 9 gates. The 9 gates are mentioned as follows. Nava-dvāre pure dehī hamso lalayate bahi. Vaśī sarvasya lokasya shtavarayasya charasya cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is living within the body of a living entity, is the controller of all living entities, all over the universe. The body consists of 9 gates, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, the anus and the genitals. The living entity entity in his conditioned stage identifies himself with the body, but when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as the Lord, even while in the body. Svateshvara Upanishad 3.18. Therefore, a Krishna-conscious person is free from both the outer and inner activities of the material body. Mukham karoti vācālam bhangam naite girilya kripatamaham vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam. Sarva-karmāṇi manasā sannyaste sukham vaśī. Nava-dvāre dehī naiva kurvan kārayan. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the body of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Yes. So we have a dual nature when we're in the body, if you like. We can identify with the body, or we can identify with the Supreme Lord. As the Svateshvara Upanishad says, when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as the Lord. So we can choose what we identify with. We are identifying with the body in ignorance, in nescience, in the Maya Shakti. The living entity is spiritual, but because he is averse to the service of the Lord, he's covered by the external energy, the Maya Shakti. We are Tatastha Shakti. We are Angsa, Mama Angsa. We are part and parcel. Can you tell them to stop talking? They're still talking. If you want to talk, go outside. So we are spiritual beings, we are Jiva Shakti, Mama Angsa, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. But without consciousness of Him, and that consciousness of the Supreme Lord is cultivated by bhakti. Bhakti mam abhijananti. Through bhakti, one knows the Supreme Lord. And thereby, by knowing the Supreme Lord, one becomes attracted to the Supreme Lord, and those things that we are attracted to, we wish to service. So, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, we're eternally the living, we are the servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupoi Nijera Krishna Das. That is our nature. But because we are trying to enjoy the material world, we are forgetful of that relationship. So then we become covered by illusion, and we become full of fruitive desire. We want to enjoy the material world. We want to control and enjoy. So we control and enjoy, our attempt is to control and enjoy through the material body. So we identify with the body. But this is false. This is illusion, because we are spiritual. So we should be identifying with spirit. We should not be identifying with the material energy, because that is a different category. Vishnu, Shakti, Paro, Veda. There's three categories. There's the spiritual energy, the Jiva Shakti, and the Maya Shakti. But we are looking towards the Maya Shakti, forgetful of our relationship with Krishna. So we're suffering because this is an inalienable, it is incorrect relationship. Maya is a different quality. The material energy is a different quality from spirit. So we cannot really enjoy. We're in illusion. Now, but there's also another point to be understood here. Krishna says in the Purport, Prabhupada says, that if you identify with spirit, then you become free. So, also in the verse here, we see it is stated that when the living entity controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the body, city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. So, Prabhupada in the Purport there says, the activities of the body or the figurative city of the body are conducted automatically by its particular modes of nature. The soul, although subjecting himself to the conditions of the body, can be beyond those conditions if he so desires. So, in the later chapters, Krishna says that the material body, that the soul, Hridaya Arjuna Tistati, Yantra Rudrani Mayaya, that the material body is a machine made of the material energy. So part of the illusion is that we are the controller of this material body. Actually, we are not the controller of the body. The body is controlled by Paramatma through the demigods. Our position within this material body is like somebody sitting in the back of the car. He tells the driver where to go. Go to Delhi, go to Paharganj, go to Dhariaganj, go here. But he is not actually driving the car, but by his desire, the driver is controlling the car. So, like I said earlier, we are a different category of energy. We cannot control the material body. As Prabhupada says here, it is controlled by the 3 modes of material nature. The 3 modes have a guna avatar. There's Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and there is subordinate demigods. And they are controlling the material body in response to our desire. I desire to raise my hand, and the super soul relays that desire to the demigods. All I'm doing is desiring. I desire to give class, to speak, and super soul picks up that desire and transforms my ideas, my desire to communicate by controlling the voice. You understand? Now, we think, I am doing it. My desire is everything. Like the material scientists, they say, we're all a bag of chemicals. So within this bag of chemicals, there is some kind of a reaction that is causing consciousness, and then the consciousness created by the chemicals is desiring to raise the hand, and then that is raising the hand by some chemical reaction. So they totally void the idea of a soul and the super soul, or the soul and the Supreme Lord. You see the difference in attitude? They think, I am raising my hand in a certain manner because of some chemical reaction, biological reaction within my body. But this is ignorance. The body is controlled, it's explained in all the Shastra, by the Supreme Lord. And the living entity is simply desiring. And the Supersoul is answering that desire. There is one sloka, Matak Parataram Nanyad Kinchid Asti Jananjaya Sutre Manigana-iva, that Krishna tells Arjuna, there is nothing beyond me. Everything is resting upon me like pearls are strung upon a thread. Just like I have some neck beads, they're strung upon a thread. So everything is resting upon the Supreme Lord. So every living entity in the material world, you'll find this in the 15th chapter, the yoga of the Supreme Person. He's explaining that the whole material creation is floating on the bed of desire. We are desiring something, or individually and collectively, and then the living entities floating on the surface of desire are moving and interacting. But those desires are being fulfilled by the Supreme Lord. There is that verse, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Yoda Dadati Kaman. There's one Supreme Eternal, one supremely conscious being, conscious of everyone's body, and he is fulfilling the desires of everyone. So we are desiring to walk down the road, we are desiring to go to the restaurant, we are desiring to get married. Everything is resting upon the Supreme Lord. Everything is fulfilled according to the Supreme Lord. So the idea that we are the controller and thereby the enjoyer is an illusion. This is the Vedic, this is the Bhagavad Gita. This is the perspective. So we are entangled in this body by desire. We are directing this body on the basis of two principles. We want to avoid suffering, and we want to achieve pleasure. We want to overcome problems, that's suffering, and we want solutions. We want to enjoy and avoid suffering. And we are desiring on that basis. But we are desiring not in terms of the Supreme Lord's service, but in terms of this body. I have a bad tooth. I want to avoid suffering, I go to the dentist. I'm hungry, I want to enjoy my favorite food, I go to the restaurant and get a masala dosa or something like that. So we are deciding where to get pleasure, where to get suffering in this material body. And then we're bound by the reaction, because sometimes that is one thing to desire a masala dosa, but sometimes we're desiring to rob the bank. And then sometimes we're desiring to eat meat. And then sometimes we're desiring to get drunk. And we're getting, that is pop. Because karma, what is that? There's karma, your duties, then there's vikarma, karma that is against your duties, then there is akarma, not performing your duties, and then there is ugra karma. Ugra karma means very bad karma, like murdering, thieving, lying, stealing. So karma should be performed. This is how we get out of this. So the question is, how can I get out of this identification with the body and identify with the Supreme Lord? Right? Now we've understood it. I'm in the body and I'm trying to exploit the body for pleasure and avoid suffering, and I'm forgetful of my relationship with Krishna, and now I'm bound by karmic reaction. And in this way, I'm going in the cycle of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. And it's a miserable condition. Everything is changing. Birth is not nice. Death is not nice. Disease is not nice. Old age is not nice. There are bad people, bad evil entities. We lose the ones we love. Everything in this material world is suffering. Dukkhalayam asāsvatam. So how can we get out of it and identify with the Supreme Lord? So this is what the Bhagavad Gita is all about. How to become in yoga, in union with the Supreme Lord. Now, at beginning we have said, Jivera Swarupoi Nichera Krishna Das. Everyone is the eternal servant of Krishna. Bhakti Mam Abhijanati. How do you get to know Krishna? You get to know Krishna through bhakti. It's as simple as that. So in Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya has given us the Bhagavatam and given us the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So if we study Bhagavatam in disciplic succession, from the sadhus, from the acharyas, and we chant Hare Krishna mantra, Shravanam Kirtanam, then Smaranam, then we will become attracted to the Supreme Lord. Our consciousness will become purified and will naturally be interested in the Supreme Lord. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadakabanai Shravanadi Sudachitte Karideodai. And in one sense, it's not something we have to learn, because like I say, Jivera Swarupoi Nichera Krishna Das. It's inbuilt to the soul, but it's covered. Karide Udai Shravanadi Sudachitte. By hearing and chanting, the consciousness is purified, and then that Prem wakes up. Now, that is the basic idea, and it is sufficient for self-realization. But let us discuss, in the time we have, some interesting topics. So you understand the idea. We are identifying with the body. How can we identify with the soul? Through bhakti. Bhakti means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. But now, so that we all become pandits, let us understand the discussion that is going on in this chapter. At the beginning, Arjuna says to Krishna, "O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" Which of the two? So Arjuna is seeing two different things here. In the third chapter, Krishna said, you have your karma, your work. But you should do it as an offering to Vishnu. Yajñātāt kāmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. You should work, you do your material duties, your karma. Don't do vikarma, don't do pap, don't do nice karma, don't do ugra karma. Perform your duties, particularly you as a Kshatriya, perform it as an offering to Vishnu. So that's what Arjuna is saying. First you recommend working karma yoga, doing my work as a Kshatriya, doing it as an offering to Vishnu. Okay, very nice. But now, in the fourth chapter, you're recommending that I gain knowledge, and in knowledge renounce my actions, renounce my karma. So Arjuna is thinking that by gaining knowledge, you renounce action, work, karma, your duties because of that knowledge. But no. What Krishna said at the end of the chapter balances both those things, work in devotion and the renunciation of action. Because what Krishna tells Arjuna is renounce attachment to the fruit of the action. Perform the activity, but don't be greedy for some personal fruit. Perform the activity as an offering to Krishna, and what comes your way is prasad. That means get the devotional mentality. Don't be greedy, fruitive, like we say, performing actions to get pleasure or avoid suffering, but perform your actions as an offering to the Supreme Lord. As Krishna says later, manmana bhavamad bhakto. Put your consciousness on me in a devotional way, madhyaji, and offer everything to me. Mam namaskaru. That is before Sarvadharma Prajaja. Actually, it's said twice in the Gita. So, that is the theme. But now, listen to this, the last verse of chapter 4. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance, that is the nescience of the material world, should be slashed with the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, Arjuna, O Bharat, stand and fight. So this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Armed with yoga, union with me, as we just saw in the purport to today's verse, you perform your activities as an offering, armed with yoga, with the ignorance of trying to enjoy this material world through your actions, destroyed by knowledge. Avidya, destroyed by vidya. Darkness, nescience, destroyed by light. So Krishna is not telling, as Arjuna has misrepresented for the discussion, you tell me to renounce work. No, Krishna is saying, don't renounce work, Arjuna. Perform your work, but perform it as an offering. And you will get that mentality by transcendental knowledge. Because in the 3rd chapter, like we say, Krishna was telling Arjuna, Yagyatat kamano niyatra lokoyam karma mandana. Work must be performed as an offering to Vishnu, or else work binds you to this material world. Then Krishna, in that 3rd chapter, that's the key verse, in the 4th chapter, Krishna is transcendental knowledge. That means Sankhya. Sankhya is the knowledge, it's given by Kapila Dev in the 3rd canto, chapter 25, Bhagavatam. It is the scientific knowledge of the difference between Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha, the source, and Prakriti, the creation. The sun and the sunlight. This is the common theme throughout everything. You have Krishna and Radha. You have Narayan and Lakshmi. You have Brahma and Saraswati. You have Sadashiva and you have Shiva, Parvati. So Purusha and Prakriti. So Sankhya philosophy is a discussion, and in the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita 1st verse, it explains that Radha and Krishna are one. The absolute truth is one, but they've separated themselves eternally to enjoy pastimes. So they have separated themselves into Purusha and Prakriti. So, Sankhya Yoga specifically aims at enlightening the soul on the nature of Purusha, the source. Because if you understand the source, the creator, then you can understand the creation properly. For example, in this room, there is Purusha and Prakriti in terms of electricity. We are using electricity in the fans, in the lights, in the microphone, in the camera, so on and so forth. That is Prakriti. That is electrical energy. But where is the electrical Purusha? Where is the source? The power station. Yes. So, this creation, like today's verse said, we're very much involved in the Prakriti. We are looking at the material energy, but we're not seeing Purusha. Our attitude is towards Prakriti and not towards Purusha. But the Bhagavatam starts with this revelation of Purusha. I'll read the first verse of the Bhagavatam. Yes. So, for auspiciousness, we'll quote the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasyato Nyanvat Itaraschase Abhigya Swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adakavaye Muyanti Yat Suryaha Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinamayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Damna Svena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Meditate. So this is Bhagavatam setting out, first verse, who is Purusha? Now listen to the translation and see it in terms of Purusha. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval, that means original, cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being within the universe. By him even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him, the Purusha, do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal because they're temporary. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, the transcendental Lord, for he is the absolute truth. So, we are seeing the Prakriti, the material Prakriti. but we are forgetful of the Purusha. And this Bhagavatam is the enunciation, the enumeration, the glorification of the Purusha, who is the source of Prakriti, both spiritual and material. And it is recommended that we meditate on that Supreme Lord. Therefore, like I say, Shravanadi, we hear the Bhagavatam and then we learn who is Purusha. And then our attitude turns from being involved in the material body and identifying with the body and trying to in an illusory manner, control and enjoy the body. We then take to our natural inbuilt swarup of service to the Supreme Lord. So Arjuna's question can be resolved, Krishna resolves it, because karma yoga, in the Vedas there are 3 khandas. There is karma khanda, jnana khanda and upasana khanda. Karma khanda is the discussion of karma, work. Jnana khanda is the discussion of knowledge. And upasana khanda is the worship of the Supreme Lord. So now Krishna has told Arjuna, you perform your karma as an offering to Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. So that means take the water of your labor, your work, and offer it to the root. Just like we offer water to Tulsi. We're working for Krishna. We're watering the root. That is the proper understanding of karma. The wrong understanding of karma is that I'll perform my material activities very piously. I'll perform yajnas, I'll give in charity, and then I'll become elevated to Svargaloka. Or I'll become a big politician. I'll become very rich. That is the wrong usage of the science of karma, because it is kaitava. You're cheating yourself because you're not performing your karma to gain liberation, but you're just going to a nicer place within the cycle of birth and death. So that is a misunderstanding of karma. You're just trying to change from being third class prisoner to first class. You're going from the bad section of the jail to the luxury section. You're still in the jail, you're still in the cycle of birth, death and old age, you're still transmigrating. So, karma yoga is the proper usage of karma. We all have our particular propensities, but we have a natural desire to work in one way. Brahminical way, study, spirituality, intellectualism, Kshatriya tendency, military man, government, controlling, Vaśya tendency, farming, business, Sudra tendency, just give me a job and a salary and I'm happy. So they are 4 basic divisions. Of course, they are all interwoven. So all of them can reach perfection by adopting this mentality. I'm performing my activities as an offering to Vishnu. But you become bound when you think, oh, I have a duty as a Sudra, I have a duty as a Vaśya, and if I do my duty nicely, I'll go to heaven, I'll go to Svargalok. That is a misunderstanding. So Krishna has told Arjuna, perform your duties, Arjuna, but as an offering to me. Take the water of your activities and offer it to the root. Janmadhyasya Bhagavatam. Now the 4th chapter is a discussion of Sankhya. What is the modes? What is the this? What is that? What is the soul? So that is explaining just who is the root. So Sankhya aims at who is the root. Karma says, I'm going to water the root. But Sankhya, or spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge, explains what the root is. So therefore the goal is the same. There's no, as Arjuna is saying here, in the Gita, Arjuna is saying, I don't understand this. You're talking about knowledge and then you're telling me to work. But he hasn't understood that the goal of both is integrated, it's one. So you perform your activities, Arjuna, but now learn who is the root. Who is Vishnu? Yes, offer to Vishnu, but then don't you want to know who is Vishnu? If you know who is Vishnu, you'll be inspired. So that is karma, that is jnana. That is the perfection of jnana. Now the mistake in jnana is that I just study and I think I'm going to become very intellectual. I'm enjoying knowledge. Or I'm going to become God. I'm going to leave the material world. I'm going to gain some high state of consciousness. Now you can do that. You can meditate on Brahman. You can think deeply what is the Supreme. But if you have the correct knowledge, you realize that the Supreme is a person, he is Purusha, and you are also a person, you are a Jivatma, and you are Mama Angsa Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So that jnana and karma point in the same direction. Karma says work for Vishnu, and the proper understanding of jnana is who is Vishnu. So they point the same way. So Arjuna's confusion is very provocative. That, of course, he's a great devotee, and because of Yogamaya, he's asking these questions. And if we understand that, that's very important, that we understand properly, because that is bhakti. Bhakti integrates karma and jnana into upasana. Do you see that point? Because if you understand, like the Bhagavatam is an exposition on the Supreme Lord, if you understand the Supreme Lord, if you understand the Ras Leela, if you understand the pastimes of the cowherd boys, if you understand Vatsalya Bhav, Ananda Maharaj and Yashoda, and you understand that this quality is transcendental and spiritual, and that this is a completely different quality to the material birth and death, then you'll enter into bhakti in a complete way. And then you'll offer everything to Krishna, and you won't be desiring some fruit. You'll naturally renounce the fruits of action. And later on, we'll just mention it now. Yes. So Krishna later on in this chapter, Action in Krishna Consciousness, gives a description of that soul, that very fortunate soul, who is now becoming absorbed in his relationship with Krishna. It's verse number 24. Yonyat sukho nyanta aramas tata jyoti eva yaha sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto nigashyati. One whose happiness is within. That means not in the body, but within the consciousness. Who is active and rejoices within his consciousness of Krishna, and whose aim, that means his goal, is inward, that means his aim is Krishna, is actually the perfect mystic. So this is the developed bhakti yoga. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. So I'll replay. This is the first thing. Happiness is within. That means his happiness is the realization of Krishna. How wonderful is Krishna? That becomes the nectar of his life. How wonderful is Krishna's conversation. How wonderful is Lord Chaitanya. How wonderful is the holy name. His happiness, he's not happy, his happiness is not directed towards the material energy. He is active and rejoices within. That means he's active, he's searching for Krishna. Like it said in the Bhagavatam, Krishna is indirectly and directly conscious of everything. So the devotee is focused on Krishna. He's active, he's searching for Krishna at every moment. And he's rejoicing in his realization. And his aim is Krishna. So that is the reason, and so in that state he performs upasana kanda, and therefore he knows the root intimately, he offers everything, he becomes the angsa of Krishna, he becomes jivera swarupoi. So therefore that is the fruit of karma, of jnana. It is integrated into upasana. It is loving attitude towards the Supreme Lord. And in that state, the living entity is Atmaram. He's full of ecstasy. He's not looking for anything external. He's just looking for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Lord's devotees in the transcendental world. And he's meditating upon Golok, the Leela of Krishna. And to purify the mind in Kali Yuga, Shravanam, we hear the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear from the qualified sadhu, we hear from the Goswamis, the great acharyas, and then we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then in our upasana we develop, this is the next stage, smaranam. We develop smaranam of the Leela of Krishna, the Astakala Leela. And now Krishna is waking in the morning in the grove. Now Krishna is having breakfast. Now Krishna is taking the cowherd boys out. Now Krishna is secretly meeting the gopis. Now Krishna is playing the flute in the evening. This becomes our internal activity. So that is smaranam. And then, as we become purified, we enter into pada sevanam. We eventually become absorbed in the Leela. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. Any question? Yes. So you learn the Leela of Krishna and become absorbed in it. And do all your work as an offering to Krishna and learn the philosophy, Siddhanta, learn who is Krishna, and then take eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita Sadhu Sangha Ke Jai.